Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Counterpoints Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Malik Foster. I'm joined by my other co-hosts here. Would y'all like to introduce yourselves?
Absolutely. I'm Edward Stevenson, one of the co-hosts of Counterpoints Podcast. Happy to see y'all again.
Hey, everybody, and I am your third co-host. I am Samantha Adams. And of course, first of all, we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys had a really good one. If you celebrate, if not, we hope you had a nice day off. Otherwise, of course, we coming to you with a good topic. We have good topics every week. And so this week we are talking about knowing your value. And what triggered this topic for today, I mean, granted, we talk about knowing your value all the time, right? But the thing about this one is there was a podcast on TikTok that was put up, and there was a woman being discussing knowing her value. So we're gonna go ahead and show that clip, and we're gonna talk about it.
An average woman?
I do not.
Because?
Excuse me?
Why? Why don't you believe you're an average woman?
Well, I don't believe in selling myself. So I'm not I'm not a woman that feels like I have to prove my value to anybody. So it's like
you don't. It was just a question.
Yeah, to me, it's just like I don't believe I'm an average woman just because I'm me. And I don't believe any person would you say you're an average man.
Mm.
Are you asking me that question?
Yeah,
I think I'm an average guy.
Okay, well, that's good. I think it's a healthy habit to think highly of yourself. So with me,
so a dude to make 20,000 a year is the average.
Hold on, wait.
All right, I wanted to stop it there real quick, so we can kind of like break down some of the stuff that we just saw in that clip real fast, and then we'll go back because it's a definitely long clip, and I just realized the timing on it, but it had a lot of stuff in there, right? And I think the first thing that I wanted to say that I agree with the lady in saying that, like, there's nothing wrong with having a positive or having as many positive thoughts that you can have. We all know that the Bible says, or some, we not necessarily all know, but there's a verse in the Bible that says the power of life and death is spoken through the tongue, and so there's a lot of value that comes with having positive thoughts and thinking of yourself in a positive manner. So I wanted to start with saying that I think she was absolutely correct with having those type of thought process. But I know there's other stuff that went on too, and I'll let you guys kind of speak to some of that before I keep going. Or did you guys see anything in that clip that y'all wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You can go, Sam.
No. So I think that it's important to recognize that she said there's nothing wrong with thinking highly of yourself. Thinking highly of yourself is not the same thing as being high-minded, right? And I think it's important to make sure you make that distinction. Thinking highly of yourself is more so understanding who you are, being confident, being self-aware, and loving on yourself, knowing like who you are, right? And whereas being high-minded thinks that you are God's gift, you're better than everyone else, things like that. And I just wanted to offer up that distinction because I think that it's important that people understand that those are two very different things. And I think she's talking about more so thinking highly of yourself rather than being high-minded. So.
Yeah, I mean, the highly of yourself is good to think highly of yourself, but one of the things that she said she thinks highly of herself because she's just her. And in terms of like determining whether she's an average woman, right? So she said, I'm not average because I'm me. So I'm like, well, there's a little bit more to it than just that. You can't just say that because that makes it seem like, you have a very big ego. Maybe there's some narcissism at play. Obviously, we didn't play the full clip, so maybe she would kind of expand on that a bit. But just saying, hey, I'm above average because I exist is not really anything, right? That's like more sort of narcissistic type of thing. Like, oh, just because I'm a human being that's alive, that's walking and breathing, I'm above average.
Yeah.
But that's if we isolate the quote, right? Because she didn't really expand on it any more than that. So you can think highly of yourself, but not unreasonably high, because that leans towards the more of the
I want to
narcissism.
offer a little bit of pushback though, Malik.
Yeah.
Like, what is average, right? If under God everybody is fearfully and wonderfully made, right? He didn't make two people to be the exact same. I think it's important to recognize that that it's okay to not be average. Like, he didn't make everybody the same. So how am I average? So I mean, that's my question. But I think we need to go ahead and play more of the clip, like you just said, so that we can make sure we see what she means. But you can go ahead.
Yeah, give me just 1 second here, okay. Yeah, and I just wanted to say too, within that, how I agree with you guys were just saying, like, you know, the guy, because it's also too a part of it where the gentleman was like, yo, you know, I do think of myself as being average, you know. And I think when he made that statement, you know what I mean, he came from a different perspective, and I think we're gonna get ready to go into that in 2 seconds.
Do you think he's
average? No.
Wait a minute. Do you think it's detrimental to overinflate your view of yourself?
No, because if you
really, so if I believe that I'm just Superman and I'm walking around like I'm Superman, that's not gonna
but
do anything to me psychologically, because that's not the real world. Right?
But it depends on what if someone believes that your value, you're overinflating, it's based upon what they view you as, right? So I'm not going to hold myself subject to anyone else's standards or what they think my value is when I determine my own value.
Wouldn't that be a narcissist?
No, it's not. Because why would you let somebody else tell you, if you think you're handsome, why would somebody tell you, hey, you're ugly, and do you accept that as your reality?
Because I am an image. I'll just say this. I can think that I'm good looking, but if that person says I'm not attractive, that's their opinion.
Exactly.
But hold on. That's their opinion, but It doesn't mean it doesn't matter. And it doesn't mean it is not true.
I don't agree with that at all. But I'm gonna let y'all go first.
Yeah, so okay. All right. So I wanted to just continue on with what we were talking about earlier, what I left off at, where the guy was like, yeah, I think I am average. And a lot of times through conversation, you'll hear people say, you know, guys are more planted in what some will say reality, because they have to kind of deal with the world that may be more direct with them, that may be more direct, and I'll say probably straightforward in a lot of senses. With females, I don't necessarily, when it comes to interaction with males in particular, a lot of times your interactions with us aren't necessarily always going to be straightforward and honest, because guys play roles, you know what I'm saying, depending on what they're looking for. You know, people play roles, but in particular, like I'm saying in this situation, you know, guys, you know, some guys would say whatever, do whatever, you know, for whatever it is that they're looking to do. So I think, like, when we look at it in that sense, like when he said, oh, you know, I think of myself as average, I think he's looking at it in the sense of saying, you know, and compared to most of the other guys on this earth, you know what I mean? Like, can I say that, you know, there's things about me that I could say considers me to be, you know, different than average guys. Whereas I think when we looked at what she was talking about, her biggest thoughts wasn't necessarily in comparison to, you know, maybe her possessions or belongings, or even the way that her lifestyle looks in comparison to others. It was more so based in lines of, like, because of who I am and because of how I'm assuming she feels like she carries herself, you know, and conducts herself, that doesn't make her average. And so, you know, I think that's kind of like something also that could be mixed in the discussion, because it's like, what are those factors that people are scaling to make them look at what's average and what's not, you know? So do you guys want to get into that one as far as talking about that, you know?
Yeah, I can talk about a little bit.
Like what do you guys think they may have defined as their factors for what was average, you know? Because the lady said she's not average. The guy said he is average.
Yeah. So the guy, like, guys, like, are basing it off of like value and what other people compare, what's a valuable man, right? If is he protector, provider, and stuff like that, intelligent, competent individual, and or and also has a good reputation, right? So those are some of the barometers and some of the metrics that we use to determine value for men, right? There's some more stuff maybe I'm missing, but that's the main thing. As for her, she basically was saying that, just because I'm me, she made that sense, I'm valuable, right? So that's leading to like, okay, what about you that makes you better than the average woman, right? And if everybody is not average, just because they don't see themselves as average, then we don't have any above average or average. There's no more categories, right? There has to be somebody who's below average, average, and above average. Like we always have to have something like that. So just because you think you're above average or not average or below average doesn't mean that's what happened. So there has to be some metrics that we can utilize that's not just your opinion, right? So just we have to use things besides anecdotal evidence to determine whether you are average or not average. And I think with her, she didn't really make that clear. She just said, hey, because I'm me, you should value yourself, you should think highly of yourself. I don't know if the clip is done or not, but she didn't really expand on like any solid metric.
The clip is not done. I think that first and foremost, if you don't like, okay, I don't like asparagus. Okay. I think asparagus is gross. Does that make me bad because I don't like asparagus? You could absolutely love asparagus. That's your opinion. And I hate it. That doesn't make you better than me. That doesn't mean that I'm below standard because I don't like asparagus. And when I look at that, that's all about opinion. And what I believe for myself and who I think I am has everything to do with me. Who you think I am has everything to do with you. You see what I'm saying? And so I think that it's important to recognize that when people are talking about, I believe that I'm above average, it's not for somebody else to make their opinion. They can make their opinion. Who cares? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. I learned that a long time ago, right? And so the thing about it is, if you think that I'm ugly, right? Somebody else can think I am absolutely gorgeous. If you think that I'm stupid, somebody can think that I'm incredibly intelligent. So I think that it's important to recognize it's what you believe as far as you are concerned, as in what's going on within you. And I think that that's what she's trying to convey, that my opinion of me has nothing to do with anybody else other than me. Your opinion of me has everything to do with you. And I have to walk around in this body, in this life, on this journey, in my skin every day. Nobody else does. And it's going to be a lot more miserable if I'm walking around feeling busted and disgusted about myself because somebody told me that I'm below average, or that I'm not above average. You see what I'm saying? Or that I'm just straight flat out average. And I think that it's important to recognize that when you are walking in your own self-confidence and in your own comfortable in your own skin, that you have to love on yourself to a point where you know who you are. And so that's what I have to say about that portion of the clip.
I wanted to add something on that too. I think what you just said was a really good thing. Having that confidence in self is vital, especially when you're trying to achieve things that you either have not seen being done before. So you're having to blaze your own lane for it, which ultimately we all have to, in a sense, because no one lived our life for us. You know what I'm saying? We have to go through the experiences that we go through that help shape us, and then we have to navigate how and what will be the best thing for us. While we may look at the examples that others may have set and progress that they may have achieved and how they went about it, you know, you ultimately have to put your playbook together to see exactly how you want to run your organization or your life, rather. So I think her stating that having a positive mindset, you know, and thinking of yourself highly is critical. But I feel like it's a balance between the two. Like, you also need to have that rooted in something. And while she may not have felt the need to explain where her confidence lies and what makes her, you know, feel comfortable making that statement, and that's open to our own interpretations. And it should be, because technically, why should you have to let someone tell you what you should value in a sense? You know what I'm saying? You can be influenced by the things that others have and how they are. You can be influenced by the things that others may be doing and use that as motivation. I think that's one of the more healthier forms of it. But some choose to be envious by it. And in some cases, that may be motivating for them. You know what I'm saying? To whatever they may want to use that to go after. But I think those things are factors that, you know, also comes with that confidence and how that confidence can play a role in the type of development of an individual. Lastly, I wanted to say too that, you know, because it was another point too, like I said, like as far as figuring out what those balancing factors are, as long as that's rooted in something that makes sense and is positive for either, you know, an individual and ultimately, you know, the well-being of this world or this earth for the people, then I think it's rooted in the right type of things. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the next part of this clip.
It doesn't mean it's not true.
That's their truth. That's their perspective.
So if you've never seen something that was ugly and you was like, nah, girl, that's ugly. Address anything.
That's a perspective.
That is, but in the same thing, it doesn't mean it's not true.
Yeah, but that would mean it's true with other people who share my same perspective.
And it might be positive.
Because some people may think it's cute. So it's like, because that's my perspective doesn't mean that it's a genuine truth across all borders just because I said it.
That may be the case.
And when it comes to someone overinflating their ego, it becomes overinflating their worth. It becomes a problem when it's egotistical. Me, I'm a woman that does not have ego. So it's like with me, I base myself into reality. I know that the stuff that the work that I put into myself. Oh yeah, yeah.
That really is so funny. You know, really, like he was so top.
So it's like, to me, I can get anybody I want. So it's like,
well,
that's
far-fetched.
No, because you can. I believe
anybody you want.
Yeah, everybody should have that mindset. That's a healthy mindset. You should think highly of yourself.
So
I think that's being delusional.
It's not.
That's crazy.
And that's fine. You don't have to agree with my mindset of how I view myself. If you
that's another good little part of this little clip. This clip has some heat. It definitely got some nuggets. It has some heat in there. So man, I think in that one in particular, like you know what we saw. Anybody want to break that down and tell us how they saw it, or you know?
Yeah. What I'll start first. What I saw was a narcissistic ego. And then people view
toxicity
of yourself, because she said literally, I can get anybody. And they try to ask her again, and she's like, yeah, like that's how I view myself, and it doesn't really matter what others think, although we know other people's opinions and how society views you does have an impact on you, and there is some validity and some weight to it. Like if everybody's saying that you're something, it may have some validity to it. It may also be wrong. Like it could be an outlier situation. But her saying that she can get anybody, no matter what that is or what is, because if she can agree that there are people that are below average, which she said a man making $20,000 a year is below average, then she also has to agree there's an average people and above average people. And she
Well,
said
no, I just want to say,
like,
she said she didn't say that she thought he was below average. She said she thought that he, if he didn't think that he was average, then he wasn't.
no. I'm saying the $20,000 a year. She said that's below. She said like, yeah, that's not above average. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, the money income, absolutely. But
Yeah. So what I'm saying is there's
hold
metrics.
on for a second.
This will
Income
get
does
into
not.
the metrics a little bit. Well, one
But
second, guys. What I was going to say is there are metrics we could use to determine that, like certain things, right? And what she's saying is, no matter what, I can get anybody because I'm me. She didn't say I'm above average because I got this, that, and the third. She didn't really explain it. She just said, I just think or I
yeah,
feel. She just feels and thinks that she's above average, but there's metrics that you can use that she
no.
may be above average in certain categories. But we'll get into that a little later. I'll get
So
y'all
check.
thoughts.
Listen, hold on. Everything in life is not a math problem. It doesn't require metrics and graphs and all of that. Like at the end of the day, how you view you is how you view you, period. Right? What she's saying is if I believe
An
that I can get
unreasonable
hold on
view.
though, hold on. I believe I can get any man that I want. Period. That doesn't mean that she can. It means that that's what she believes. There's nothing wrong with having that belief that if there's anything in this world that I want, I can get it. When I wanted to be a lawyer, I said, I'm going to go be a lawyer. And I went and got it. Despite all the people that told me, nah, you can't do that. Right? If once upon a time, everybody was like, Sam, you should model. I tried it. That wasn't really what I wanted to do because my heart was in the law. You see what I'm saying? Now, if I believe that I'm going to be able to do something, that's that. That's that. And that's all. You see what I'm saying? Like, nobody should be able to dictate who I believe I am. So if I believe I can obtain and manifest or whatever, however I get it, God blessing me, whatever you believe. If you believe that it's for you, then go get it. You shouldn't allow anybody to tell you that you are less of a person and that you cannot achieve anything just based on their opinion of you. And I think that that's what she's saying. Whereas people are looking at what she's saying totally different from what she's in fact saying. She's saying, I believe so heavily in myself, I can get anything that I want. Right? I'm going to say that. If I want a particular man, I'm going to go get him. If I want a job, I'm going to go get it. If I want, doesn't mean she'll actually receive it, but that doesn't mean that she can't make the attempt to go get it. She can't believe in herself with enough confidence and zeal behind her to go after what it is that she wants. Because think about how many people you come across from day to day that say, hey, I want this, but I can't because I did. I can't because so-and-so said. They place all these limitations on themselves. And what she's saying is, I'm without ego. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm saying that I'm good enough for everything because that's what I value. That's my value. I'm good enough for anything that I want. And that's just what I heard her say. I think that y'all heard her say something different.
But that is the
whoa. Don't start thinking and speaking for me. I'm here. Because I agree with that statement in a sense. Like, I think that, it's true. But I remember I watched, it's so funny because I was talking to somebody about confidence just the other day before I saw this. And I watched an old video of Mike. And it was like one of his commercials. And he was talking about how, like, he feels confident that he always wants to take that last shot because he feels like he's put in the work and that his skill set will allow him to know that he can trust the time that he spent doing that. He can trust, the time that he spent doing these things, the work that he spent, the hours that he was going out developing that craft and that skill set, to trust in that, to say, if I'm in this position or if I get this opportunity, I'll be able to, get the results that I'm looking to get. And I think from the male's perspective, That's all we're trying to say. So I don't necessarily feel like the woman, the female's perspective is kind of incorrect, because I think it's like 1A. First, it starts in the mind. You have to see it to believe it. So that's 1A. But I think where we're coming from in some senses too, or some of the guys' perspective, I don't want to say we, like to put me into everything that they're saying. You know what I mean? I agree in some parts, but I don't think it's a totality. I think the other part is, well, what are your, as Malik said earlier, what are your metrics? What are you dividing this by? Are you saying this by the shots? If we're using the analogy of Mike, the shots that you put up every day, the hours that you got up, you know what I'm saying? The watching film or watching other teams to know how they move, so you can detect the ways that they'll possibly try to, defend you. Like, what are you doing to ensure it? So like you said, if you think that you want that job, what skill sets are you going out there to market yourself with, to say that you have, so that you can show that, hey, I am a good fit for this position because I have what this company needs. Like, what are you able to also show with it? Because I think that's the part that I think a lot of people are missing here. And it's like, that's where that sweet spot is. It's like, you got to not only have that mindset, but you also need to be able to have something to show that you can prove it behind. And a lot of times we talk about it, whether it be beauty, whether it be your money as a dude, or whether it be your mind, if you can, your conversation, whatever it is, the way you dress, the way you articulate yourself, you have to have something, you know what I'm saying, that's going to entice the individual to get it. So, while I don't necessarily think that she's completely wrong for feeling like she should be able to get whoever she wants, I think another aspect comes with that too, though. You also have to ask yourself, because like we were saying just now with the metrics, you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to do to achieve that as well? Because while she, like she said, she may believe that she can get anybody, but she might not feel like she wants to do what it takes in order to go and get that person. You know what I mean? And I think that's another factor too, because in order to get...
Well, she said it though during the interview, E. She said, because I'm her, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, she said because I'm me, because she knows who she is. You see what I'm saying? And that's a part of being fearfully, but hold on, no, that's a part of being fearfully and wonderfully made. You see what I'm saying? I know who I am. I don't need anybody to dictate what I offer and all that. I know what I bring. And it's whether you're willing to accept what I bring. You determine whether or not you're willing to accept that. If you're not, it doesn't diminish who I am. I'm still me. And that right there is part of the issue. Like, a lot of times women get into relationships and they lose themselves. Men do it too, right? They lose themselves. And when they lose themselves because they weren't grounded in who they were. They weren't grounded in that confidence and understanding, I am me, period, point blank. I'm me at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day and all in between. And there's nothing that anybody should be able to do to shake me from being who the hell I am. And I think that's part of the problem. So when you go into these relationships and stuff, and you lose yourself, it's because you weren't grounded in who you are and recognizing that, number one, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Whatever I have to offer, whatever it is, that person's going to accept it. If they're not going to accept it, then I move on. But it doesn't stop me from being me. And that's what she means by that. It's not about, because I'm the shit and I'm better than excuse my language, I'm better than anybody else. You see what I mean? It just means that I am me. And I know that I carry a particular value. I don't have to sit here and prove everything to anybody. I don't got to prove my value. It's either you recognize it or not. If I give you $1, that dollar is $1. I don't have to prove to you that it's worth $1. You already know that that's the value of it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. You don't have to prove your value to someone else, but maybe you have to prove it to yourself. Like, how do you know that you're valuable? Just because you're born in this world and you can talk and communicate.
Who was born on this world? Hold on, Malik. Let me ask you a question.
You're above average person.
Who on this earth has been born and has no value?
I'm not saying no value, but what she's saying is she has the highest value. She didn't
say she has the highest value. She says she's above average.
as my good homie
Well,
would
that's
say.
like the highest value, right? If you're
No,
above
it's
average,
not.
that means
It's
you're
not.
top
It's
tier.
just
You're
saying you're
Mount
not at
Rushmore
look.
of value.
Hold on, Malik. Let me ask you
That means
something.
you're better than most.
You're a numbers guy. You're the math man, right? So check it. Boom.
Math.
If we're looking at brackets, right? Let's say the median is 60,000. Okay. And let's say it goes from 50 to, no, let's not even say 60. Let's say it goes from 50,000 to 70,000. That's the middle. That's average. Okay. So anything below 50 is below average. Anything above 70 is above average, right? If I say that I'm at 75, I'm above average. But does that mean I'm the same at 100? No. You see what I'm saying? It just means I'm not 70. I'm above 70. And so
right.
Her saying that she's above average just means that she believes that she's above average. It doesn't necessarily mean that she thinks
she didn't really. So the problem, I guess, I have with what she's saying, she didn't really give any like reasons, like how you gave the money or even intelligence. She just gave this, very broad and ambiguous statement.
I didn't give any either. All I did was give
examples. You really give all those details, Sam, for like us to like really say, okay, this is the reason why she thinks she's above average and she get anybody. She thinks she's very intelligent. She said she makes good money. She knows how to do this.
But isn't that proving your value though?
She didn't say any of that stuff.
But isn't that proving your value? If you believe you have to share all the things that make you above average, doesn't that kind of sound like you're trying to prove your point? I'm trying to prove to you what my value.
Somebody asks why you think you're highly valued or above average, I mean, and your response
I think I'm above average has nothing to do with my value.
That's not really a response.
Nah, but I think me believing that I'm above average and me knowing my value, I think that those are two different things, right? Because I'm valuable, period. I don't care, like I said before, who on this earth is born with no value. Everybody has value. You see what I'm saying? But when you're talking about whether or not I'm average or above average, she's looking at herself as though she's above average because she is who she is, because she knows she has value in this
world. We're asking who is she?
Hold on. Let's play the rest of the clip because I think she explained.
Actually, before we do that, I was gonna try to let y'all, do your thing and come in politely, but I got a bulldog.
Yeah, you got to get in there when you fit.
I see. But I wanted to say on that topic though, you made some points like, I just know and I know what I know, so I shouldn't necessarily have to sell. Malik's like, no, you're gonna need to, explain something and let me know. I think, and I heard this once, it's like you can't finesse a finesser, right? Like, so you could come in with all the confidence in the world and believe whatever you believe. But if I know what I know, if I've lived life enough and I've had enough experiences to teach me what I need to know, I'm going to look at it and evaluate for myself. And quite frankly, if your value is what the value, whatever it is, if it's worth its weight in gold, if you will, I'll be able to discern that within the time frame that I give it to allow myself to do that. And I think a lot of times, we see that happen, and sometimes how that plays out in reality is for a dude, you're going to look at the girl and be like, okay, I see the value that she may have in her so far. You know what I mean? But I think if you're a guy with some good sense, beyond looking at just the beauty, you're going to assess other factors to see, is this the right woman for you? And while that woman might not necessarily have to say it, some of that might be able to be shown due to the fact that it is speak for itself. And that's why I think, Sam's partially right in the sense of I shouldn't have to sell it, but if you're watching close enough, you might see it for yourself. And I think that's where, that could come into play. As a guy, you might need to take the time to get to know that woman, take the time to see what she's talking about, see if there is that value. And I think at the same time, as a woman, you're going to have to give space for a guy to understand, not only that, like you can't just be like, oh, well, watch me work and only just think that a nigga's supposed to just watch only your socials and think that he getting, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
to know you or know how you move. Like, nah, you know, again, you can't finesse a finesser. I know you can post up whatever you want to post up. You know what I mean? And so I need to, you know, have an opportunity to see these things in work and true, you know, build that relationship for us to, you know, develop that thing. So I think, like I said, if a wise man is that, he'll take the time to do that. So, you know, he might see some inherent value. So like the lady said, when you see me, you might even can read my aura and feel my energy to know I'm not even the one that play with, like, what's your, you know what I mean? What's your energy on? It was on enough for you to stop to ask me to be here.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So it was on that. So that's why I feel like I can understand a certain level of like confidence in that regard. But at the same time, I think you got to give it some of that room for, you know, people to kind of make the assessment for themselves, because just because you know what you know, it doesn't mean that everybody else knows that, or it doesn't mean that everyone is going to take that at face value. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to need to see, you know what I'm saying, something to back that statement or back that belief. And I don't think they're wrong for that. You know what I'm saying? Because again, if you take everybody at face value, you're going to learn a lot of lessons. You know what I'm saying? You're going to learn a lot of lessons. So, you know, that's that. But I'm going to go ahead and move on with the clip. I just wanted to add that in there.
If you want to think lowly of yourself and think that you can't get everybody that you want, then you can insert that on yourself. That has nothing
So let me ask you this. So if you can get anything that you want or anybody that you want, right?
You would be married today.
There you go.
That's if the goal was that. I don't want to be married right now.
But the goal was in the package. It was?
No, it was not.
So you didn't want to be married?
I've never been a woman that was like, oh, I can't wait to get a ring on my finger. That's never been my mindset. That's why I turned it.
So when do you want to be married?
I don't know. Whenever I feel like it. It's like, if I wanted to be married today, I could be. But
when
it's
do you
like,
want to be in a relationship again?
Whenever I'm done doing my work on myself. It's not really a rush for me. So it's like, I don't subscribe to the societal standards. So it's like, you don't have to agree with me, and you can think that.
No, we're not agreeing with you. I mean, we're not
agreeing with me, but I feel like it's very offensive when someone says they think highly of themselves and for you to laugh.
But in order to say you can get anybody you want.
Yes, that's true. Just like you can have anybody you want.
No, I can't. I won't. You know what? Look in your phone right now. Look up fucking Holly Berry's number.
So, okay, I want to kick this part off, right? The reason why I want to kick this part off is because I've been in that space before, right? Where I did not want to be in a relationship. I did not want to be married because I was working on something for me. And a lot of times people, when they look at me now, they're like, how is it that you've gone this far and you're not married, you don't have children? Because I made myself a priority. And I had a journey that I was following, and I needed to get to a certain place before I felt like it was time for me to go ahead and do those things. I look to get married, look to have kids, things like that. You see what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of times society tries to place pressure, especially on women, about getting married and having kids and settling down and doing all of that, in part because, of the biological clock, but also too, like, it's just a traditional societal norm. And and we've talked about this before, where it's like, if I don't want to do that, I don't have to. And I found it to be incredibly presumptuous for the guy who said, you had been married by now, you wanted to be married. Who said that? She never said that. And I think that it was incredibly presumptuous of him to just assume that that's what it was that she wanted. And I think that a lot of people have that mindset. Like, they really think that just because you're a woman, you want to get married or you want to be in a relationship, and there's a lot of women out here that don't want that. It doesn't necessarily mean that, it's not to try to take a dig or a jab at, Black family and all that. But sometimes people got to recognize people going to come into their self when they're ready. And because it also does not make sense to hop into a relationship and get married and have kids and all that unless you are in fact ready, right? That's part of the vetting process, because you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that ain't really ready for what it is you have to offer. Because if you're in that space with that person and they're not really ready for what it is you have to offer, it's just that's going to end up being the demise of your situation, the demise of your relationship. And I think that it's important to really fully understand where you are, who you are, and what you got going on before you dive into a situation with another person and you merge your life with theirs.
Wow.
So,
You guys brought up some great stuff, and I'm gonna go ahead and jump in this too, because I think it was a lot that was said in that, and I like that part because we went past like the conversation of can you get who you want to get, and I think like she said like she could, but then the guy was like, okay, well if you had that, then you know what I'm saying, or if you could do that, then you would be with who you want to be with, and you living the type of life that you would want to live with that person. Now, again, I think we break this down and deconstruct it. It's like he's talking about, okay, well, what does, again, society look for you to have? And is to be married or at least to be in some type of relationship with that individual, right? Nowadays, I think I had to put the caveat on that because people are in a form of a relationship with a lot of individuals, even though it may not necessarily be one that's even a lot of communication involved with it, you know what I mean? It could just have other, forms of features that relationship offers. What is it like, or situationship, as we like to say in some senses. I think he's looking at it from the standpoint of like, even if you had the confidence to get whoever, well, why you don't have whatever type of relationships that you would like to have. And later on in the video, he talks about that, like, wait, you don't find no one else attractive, or you don't find, such and such, like, anybody attractive that you would want to be with. Like, it's because it's like you almost made it seem as though in his mind with that, you don't want to have that. And I think we have to all back on that and look at that statement, because ultimately, in my opinion, I believe having someone in your life and having someone that you are building with, growing with, or whatever, that does help add to your life. Whether, some people want to admit to it or not. I think if you have the right person in particular, someone that cares about you and that's loving with you, and who, like you said earlier, accept you for who you are, and y'all can build on that, you know what I'm saying, then y'all can form the type of relationship that can grow, that can hopefully be blessed with, you know what I'm saying, the ability to grow and expand, and y'all can teach, other human beings how to grow up and be good people. I think everybody kind of wants to have something like that. I'm not saying that you may, like, not to say that people don't want to have that. Like, some people are absolutely okay with being by themselves, but at some point in time, I know that there's going to be parts where you feel like you would want to have the company of another. So, you know what I mean? That's where we're looking at that to see, like, is that something that you feel like you want to have full time? Is it something you feel like you want to have part time? Is it something that you want to have borrowed? And then that's when we have to look into the conversation of, okay, well, if you have it full time, like how society asks, there's things that you may have to give up at times in order for that relationship to have a lasting effect. And I know we've seen clips from Michelle Obama and speaking on, some of the things that she felt like had happened through their marriage, in which there was times where, there's one person having to give more, whether it's emotionally, physically, financially, whatever, in the relationship. And maybe another person had to, take a lesser role and do things that they maybe didn't want to do, whether it's for career-wise, in order for the family to have the best opportunity for it to advance. And that's a decision that people have to make on their own. So I think that's something that also plays a role in that, because it's like she says, what you're pretty much going after, I believe, is like, there's work that I need to do with myself. There's things that I need to do on my own right now before I can feel like I'm where I want to be and doing what I need to be doing. And I think, you know what I'm saying, or being in a space that she may feel like she's able to give the type of love that she would like to have and receive. All of those are factors. And I think honestly though too, if you have the right type of person, that could help speed that up. And that's why I believe how I believe. I think if you meet, you know what I'm saying, and you're dating the right type of individual, y'all can probably find ways where y'all can develop and grow, you know what I'm saying, to the benefit of each other. And that's all that I wanted to say.
I was just gonna say those guys kind of they kind of attacked her a little bit. I think they could have asked a different question. Like they could have asked her, like, have you ever been rejected in a relationship? Has anybody that you wanted to build any type of relationship rejected you from what you want? Because the way she said it, like, hey, I can have anybody I want because it's me. And you can be like, okay, if I want to believe that, let's ask you about your past history to see if that's true. Like, have you ever been broken up in a relationship? Has a guy ever like left you or whatever? Did you wrong and not want to be with you? They should have asked that, not saying like, oh, how about you call up this person or do this from a more of attacking standpoint? Because uh, when they asked her about marriage, you should ask her about her goals. Like, okay, if we're going to talk about the relationship aspect of it, what are your relationship goals? Like, do you want to have a life partner? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? Like, what's your goal? So that way you can better determine to see if, like, okay, she's just rejecting all her offers and suitors because she has some sort of career goal that she still hasn't achieved yet. So I think that would have been a better approach, in my opinion. And you could have really found out, like, can she truly get anybody she wants? Or maybe that's what her experience has been, that she's gotten every guy that she wanted and she just turned it down and say, hey, I'm on my career focus right now and maybe come back at a later time. So that's really all I had to say about the clip. I think they kind of attacked her a bit. Is the video done or we got a little bit more?
No, there's a little bit more.
Okay.
That's a little more. I mean, we can go into it a little if y'all want to.
Yeah, let's go into it.
Yeah. Let's go into it.
I want her.
Okay, well, shit, go after her.
No. I want
That's
her.
me. That's the mindset.
That doesn't mean I can get her.
It's starting to get cringier for real. Like
That's
you think that
you know what that's more like? That's more like a rapist mindset. I can have her and want her untakeable.
like,
No.
Like where does that? How does that even come into your mind? If that's the first thing that you think, like, oh, I can just have her.
Don't do that.
Okay, with me, I feel like it's very
Okay, so who's somebody that you would date? You said Drake earlier. You said something about Drake. Who would you date? Famous.
Celebrity doesn't mean anything.
Just answer the question.
No, because I don't have any. But I guess with me it's different because I'm not like.
You don't have. So name me somebody you're attracted to that's famous. I don't give a fuck who it is.
I'm not in that space.
All we had to do is ask her who she dated in the past and what happened.
Right. Like, why are you asking?
Ask, like, who have you dated in the past? Did they break up with you or you broke up with them? Like, how did that work?
Right. I don't think there's anything wrong with those questions that you have, Malik. The problem is that they're still attacking her. Like you said, they're not allowing her to
aggressive and force the fact that, oh, our point is right. We want you to make sure you're wrong. Like in this instance, she's not wrong. Like, okay, maybe she doesn't want celebrities. Maybe she wants what she wants, but she feels like she can have anybody she wants, but that's not what she wants. But what you do want, have you been rejected in the past from that to prove your guys' point that she can't have anybody she wants.
Right. And so the thing is, and that right there is the very reason why I don't think her perspective is narcissistic. Right? Because she's saying it's not about celebrity. Her saying I can have whoever I want doesn't mean like, yeah, I could go get Drake. Yeah, I could go get this person. Yeah, I could go whoever the hell else. You see what I'm saying? It's if that's what I want, I'm gonna go get it. Period.
The reason why I say it was narcissistic.
Hold on. Let me finish my point. The other part about it is that she tells you, if you're paying attention, they're so busy attacking her that they completely miss her. Tell everybody that her idea of value is not their idea of value. What makes her above average is not what makes somebody else above average. Because she said, I don't care anything about celebrity and all that. Because you're famous and you make money. That's not enough for me. Like, there's so much more to you that has to have meat that is going to allow me to value you. And those are my values. So if I have my own values, I know I'm dope. I know I'm me. I can go out and get whatever it is I want. It's because of the things that I value. Without giving you every little detail of what each thing is, you know what I'm saying? She said, I don't care about that. Because most people are gonna look at it like, okay, a celebrity is somebody that has high value. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, just because somebody is a celebrity doesn't mean nothing. Celebrities can be narcissistic, they can be abusive, they can be, all kinds of things and have all of these problems and stuff with them. And that doesn't make them above average or better than anybody. It just means they got more money and attention. That's literally it. You see what I'm saying? They're more popular.
Yeah, they were asking wrong questions. They should have asked her, "Are you married? Do you have kids?" Like, they should have tried to get more information before they just treating her like some groupie type of gal.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what they were trying to do. Like, oh yeah, there's some groupieism in you somewhere. Like, oh, you like celebrities or whatever. You're one of those type of women. So, but the reason why I say the narcissistic point is because just like the statement on its face without a little bit of context could lead people to think you have a narcissistic ego. Because the statement like you can do like, oh, I can get anybody just because I exist is kind of a narcissistic statement. But if she gives a little bit more context, I could be on her side. Like if they would have asked her the right questions, I could be like, okay, I could agree with her more. But that's actually on the host's fault, right? They weren't asking her the right questions, in my opinion.
I definitely agree. Like, I don't think that they conducted this conversation in the manner in which it could have brought out a viewpoint of theirs that may be alternative. Like, it wasn't what we would say like a fair conversation. Like, you know what I mean? It didn't allow for even a discourse where you can have a conversation and at least be respectful. You can even see it in the tone, like how they started yelling at each other after a while. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't a civil conversation. And unfortunately, I feel like, sometimes, unfortunately, like that's the type of stuff that gets the, you know what I mean? Gets the look, the view. It's like, okay, well, there they go. Look. She being on, and it sucks because it's like what do we gain out of having, you know what I'm saying? Discussions that polarizes us, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we need to be able to have ones that allow unite us and bring us to a place where we can start to find either ways that we can have the discussions and have disagreements within them, but also be able to find a middle ground that we can both look at and respect and say, you know what, hey, cool, I'll give up on some of this, you give up on some of that, and it can work for us, even though we both are, because we're both giving up something for us to move forward together. If you know what I mean, if that's not the view, then it is what it is. And I'm not even necessarily saying it from the standpoint of the relationship. I'm talking about right here in this podcast. You know what I'm saying? Both need to be able to have that discussion. Like, maybe she may need to go into a little bit more detail as to what factors she think or what's what that root is believed in, you know what I'm saying? And then maybe they need to understand to allow her the space to be able to feel comfortable enough for not, so that she doesn't feel as though she's selling herself, but instead having a conversation and letting them know her thoughts and her views. Those are the type of things that I think would really help bring this show together. You know what I mean? It would have made this conversation a lot more livelier, and it would probably gave us an opportunity to get more information about, that particular woman and maybe those who think just like her. You know what I mean? So that was definitely a bad job on the host, because it was like, and maybe I say that, but who knows? Maybe that was their intentions, to get in there and to get to arguing and doing all of the rush raps, because lately that's been like that.
I just think they could have been right, and they could have proved their point or determined whether, okay, she's valid in believing what she's believing, or okay, she's completely wrong because of looking at her history, her past. We can see the evidence of like, hey, her contradicting herself. Because obviously she wants to hit the point that she doesn't do what mainstream society does, or what we consider normal or what average people do. And that's probably why she doesn't think she's average. But as far as the relationship goes, they could have asked the right questions and say, look, that doesn't these relationships, you got rejected or this guy left you according to you, so therefore you can't have anybody you want. Like that could have been a better way to approach it, but they weren't asking the right questions. They were just trying to attack her, bring
Yeah,
up
and I think
rapists.
yeah,
It makes no sense.
So first of all, let me say something about that. Like,
Yeah,
bro,
I definitely get in
that
there.
was completely unnecessary to say, oh, that's like a rapist. No, it ain't. If you believe that you can, nobody said go take it, my guy. She just said, if you believe that you can have anything that you want, go get it. Like, I believe that I can have what I want. That's that. That doesn't mean I'm gonna go freaking go rape a man, or you should go raping women. Like, you just completely jumped off the bridge. I feel like they were listening to respond as opposed to listening to hear. And I think if they had spent a little bit more time listening to what she was saying, like, I agree with you in that aspect, Malik, that they probably would have found middle ground, because they were just so laser focused on making her look stupid.
Right. I mean, they could have either proved themselves right or proved like her, or she could have proved herself right if they could have asked the questions. But once they go into those ad hominem attacks and trying to force their rightness upon her without any validity, that's where, okay, they totally lose the argument. They make her look good and they just look totally bad, like they don't know how to conduct an interview.
Yeah, let's go ahead and finish that. Oh, after you, E. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just saying, like, no, I'm in agreement with that statement. Like, that just looked at poor on all fronts when we sat there and heard them, have that talk. Because it's like, now y'all just reaching. Then you say some super off the wall stuff, you know what I mean? Because it's like, where do you, like, how does that be the first thought of your mind is just, oh, I'll just take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. What? She didn't say nothing about that. And quite frankly, when I believe from the conversation that she was having, it was like, well, how would you look to have this? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you could be with whoever, like, who would you be? And she was just like, yo, I could have whoever I wanted. Now, that's another conversation within that too. Like, they should have asked her, well, what are you looking for in that relationship? You know what I'm saying? What world, you know what I'm saying? How would you like for that person to treat you? How are you looking to treat that person? But then again, that makes women feel like, oh, shit, nah, I'm selling myself. I'm trying to tell you how I think, what I think, and a lot of times it's not, though, because they'll be like, well, I want somebody to do X, Y, and Z.
Well, see, that's the reason, because I think she gets into that. That's the reason why I was saying if you play the rest of that clip, we can go ahead and dig a little deeper into that aspect that you're referring to, E.
Because I'm not a person that's like, I'm not like, I just need a man. I don't even look
not
at
saying
men like
that.
Not even where it comes to like want. I haven't seen anybody.
Even
like,
growing up, there's nobody you've been attracted to.
I mean, it's people that are attractive, but it's not anything that's like, oh, I just want him. No, I feel like my want to someone is the.
Can I say something? Z, I'm not trying to frustrate you.
I'm not frustrated at all. It's just, to me, what I don't like.
Let me say this to answer really quick.
Yeah, okay, but I just want to say this. What I don't like is I don't like a borderline bully. If someone chooses to have,
and I don't want to feel like we're teaming up on you or none of that.
But what I'm saying is, if someone, if someone chooses to have high self-esteem as opposed to low self-esteem, that does not give you a right to call them names and call them narcissistic or say, oh, overinflated, because they have high self-esteem because you're used to your standard of being low self-esteem. Anybody that they can have. No, but if you say you can have anything that you want, you can, because your mindset reflects your reality. No, and you're not mature enough for that.
Do you believe you're an average woman?
So, I agree with that. I mean, I just do. If somebody wants to walk around feeling like they're lowly, busted, disgusted, ugly, broke, if that's the mindset you have, cool, have it. But that's not my business. If I walk around like, yo, I'm blessed, I'm rich and highly favored, God bless me from the top of my head to the undersoles of my feet, and I can have anything that in this world, because God created this world and he put me in it, but so that I can have whatever it is that I want. And if he's gonna bless me with it, then he's gonna bless me with it. You feel me? So you have to be open to receive. And I think that when people close themselves off to receive the things that they want, then they're never gonna get them. You know, as long as you keep yourself open, then you're gonna be able to receive whatever it is that you're open to receive. And you know, they definitely were trying to bully her. She held it down right there at the end, but it was sad because they weren't really listening to her. Instead, I think, like I said before, that they were asking her questions just so that they can respond, as opposed to listening to hear what it was that she was saying. You know, and I think that, I mean, I just agree with her. I don't disagree with her at all.
Yeah, no, my last little thoughts on it real fast was that, you know, overall I think that she handled the podcast as well as she could. You know, I think she made some points. She brought an alternative viewpoint, you know, that she tried to go towards. And I think that, like, there was times, like we said, that the podcasters or the hosts, rather, the interviewees, whoever, like the way that they were kind of delivering the questions, you know, made it so that she kind of felt the desire to say, like, she didn't want to answer the questions in the way that they may have been looking for. You know, like you said, Malik, you know, they try to ask, well, who, you know, do you not find anybody attractive? Like, are you, you know,
No,
are you
no, they
being with
still
someone?
just asked the right question.
No, I
Like,
agree. I'm saying they tried, but it was unsuccessful, clearly. But what I wanted to go into, though, was how, you know, that type of stuff was what kind of got the conversation for her to just handle it and be like, no, I'm straight. Well, no, I'm not worried about that. Like, but make by no mistake, I think we all know any girl, I'm a girl, be like, oh no, I'm just working on myself, whatever. She working on herself for you, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else from a different situation come up, different type of, you know what I'm saying? The circumstances might change. Yeah, she might be working on herself, but she also might entertain what that person might be going on. So, like, we all know that. That's how the game goes. So it's like she told them that. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't necessarily mean that that may be a reality, or it could be the reality in that moment because she didn't necessarily meet somebody that she felt was, like, you know, intriguing enough for her to continue to work on herself and date that person at the same time. So, you know, had she maybe felt a little more comfortable, I think that she may have opened up to talking about the things that she would be open to receiving, even in her season of working on herself. You know what I mean? But she didn't feel comfortable like that was
those guys knew they were wrong.
thing.
They knew they were wrong. They apologized.
And I feel like that's the type of stuff, like, I used to be like, yo, where are they coming from where guys are just so like, you know what I mean? Oh, you got podcasts like, I'm straight, like, you know what I mean? Like, where that became the dominant voice of, one, in particular, black males, or two, like, individuals who speaking for, like, the culture, or speaking for, you know, the show in itself, like, speaking for, like, you know, like I said, the culture, because it's just weird to see that energy. Like,
yeah, like it's okay for, as a man, for your points not to be totally right, even if you see, like, every woman is not going to fall into, like, that box where you're like, hey, see, this is women that are doing it this way. This is not the right way, and that's part of the problem. There's women that don't fit in that box, so you need to ask the right questions to see if they do fit in that box, or maybe they're an outlier. Because even still, when they ask, like, you don't find anybody attractive, like, that's still not the right questions. You need to ask her about her past, like, what has she done in her past relationships. If she's had relationships, who knows? She could have never had a relationship before, so that she could be definitely an outlier with modern women. So does she have kids? Like, we don't know this. Like, they need to ask the right questions so we can figure out, like, okay, what you're saying, like, you can have anybody, is that true? Because the people in the past, they might have left you, or how did those relationships play out? So you just don't arbitrarily say, oh, like, well, you don't like Drake, you must like Drake. Like everybody don't need to like Drake.
Right.
Like what the heck? Like you can like who she likes, but the people that you have liked, how have they treated you? What did they do? Did they propose to you? Were you engaged? Like ask like some tangible stuff that makes some sense. Those guys
Right.
is with some ad hominem attacks and all that stuff. Like, well, you gotta like this and all this stuff. And you
Not
talking
right, which goes to the
about
whole
all this
argument
other
that I
crap.
made earlier about asparagus. I don't gotta like it. I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I think that everybody's entitled to be who they are, and it's okay to be who you are in your own skin. I agree with you guys both in the sense where it's like they did not conduct that interview correctly. Um, because when you look at it, aside from just the ad hominem attacks that you're referring to, Malik, there's a lot of times where they would ask her a question and they would not allow her to complete her answer before they attacked her with another question or provided their opinion about half of what she said, things like that. And I think that it's important to recognize that when you are having those types of interviews, you got to let people say what it is that they got to say, because you don't know where they're going with it. You can assume, but you could be wrong. And I think
Mhm.
just really having an open mind, especially in this type of a platform, you got to have an open mind about what other people are saying, because you never know what you stand to gain or what you stand to learn from those people having those types of alternative opinions. The purpose of this podcast is to offer perspective, right? And it's not to say that we're 100% right all of the time, but it's more to say like, hey, try thinking about it from this view, right? And we don't always agree here, right, on the Counterpoints podcast. But one thing we
Not at
do,
all.
one thing we do is we listen to one another. And sometimes it may feel as though that we're not, but we do. We just don't necessarily have to agree. And that's the reason why we've been doing this for 2 years. And we have over
Definitely on the
100
women's side on
episodes.
this video. I
Right.
can't those
And
guys
we
back.
have over 100 episodes. It's because one thing that we absolutely do is we make sure that we try to hear what everybody has to say, because we know no matter what, each one of us has value, and we
Right.
we all offer something important, not just to this podcast, but to society itself. And so with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. I'm gonna give y'all the Black Book of the Month, which is the Soul of Black Folks, which was written by W.E.B. Du Bois. Make sure y'all go ahead and read that. W.E.B. Du Bois, if you don't know, he was an abolitionist. He was a freed slave, enslaved person. He was incredibly intelligent. He had a lot to say about the abolition of slavery, and he was an activist. And he talks about the soul of Black folks and the different mindsets of a Black man and woman, Black people in general. And it's really good to read because it'll help you kind of understand the different mindsets of Black folks even today, which is why it's called the soul of Black folks. Now, granted, it's not to say W.E.B. Du Bois has been around for 3 million years, because he's been long since dead, but it's very interesting to see how the thought process of some Black people has not really evolved, and how for others it has. The other thing I wanted to jump into was our Black business. It's called Royal Nation. They have something called the PET hoodie, PET hoodie, but it's the website is gonna pop up right here. And it's called Royal Nation. It's a clothing line, and they have a really dope hoodie. Considering that it's hoodie season, go ahead and check them out and go ahead and get that. And then lastly, I have a motivational quote. Now, although this quote is not by a Black person, it is by a very rich one. Well, hold on for a second. Well, there's a couple of them. One was by Warren Buffett, and it says, price is what you pay, value is what you get. And the reason why I chose that quote is because a lot of times when we talk about value, people think that value is pretty much my worth. Well, it is my worth, right? But a lot of times people think that it's what you have to offer. And it's not what I have to offer, it's what I have to give and what you receive from it, right? Because if like I just said, when you look at us three, we're here on this platform, everybody has their own value that they offer. And when one of us is not here, which does happen sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Because we have other things going on, you notice, right? Because we all have our own value. And so the price is the price, right? It's what am I looking to get? And the value is what do you actually receive? And so I think it's important to recognize that whenever you're going through life and you're trying to understand your own value, you have to know that your value, you have your own value for yourself. And that is what it is. You can't allow it you have to be unwavering about that. But everybody's not necessarily going to see that because either A, they're blind by it, they don't want some of the things that you have to offer, or they're going to receive it all. You see what I'm saying? So I think that knowing that will make it easier for people to be able to maneuver in all different types of relationships, friendships, whatever, because you know that people are going to receive what it is that they get, and that's the value that they get from you. So with that, that was one quote. And then somebody named, please forgive me if I mispronounce his name. His name is Eric Spolstra. He says it's not about winning or losing, but to learn about teamwork, to learn about sportsmanship, learn about discipline, the value of working together for a common goal. Have the emphasis on fundamentals, not on just games. And so, yeah, although a lot of times people say that life is a game, you have to remember that you have to have a good foundation. So in order to be strong in your values, you have to be strong in your foundation. So build that foundation while you build on yourself and build on your values so that you can continue to grow and not allow anybody to tell you who the hell you are or who the hell you're supposed to be. So that's our motivational quote for the week. And I hope that everybody enjoys the week. Make sure y'all tap in with us on Wednesdays on Instagram for our What's Up Wednesday segment. You can also, if you're catching this, then you know what it is. You know that we drop these on on Saturdays at around 1:30 on YouTube. And all of our social media handles are going to be posted up here at the end. And with that, I don't know if Ian Malik have anything to say, but what I want to say is y'all make sure y'all are good to one another. And I hope that you guys enjoy your week, and we'll see you in the middle.
Yeah, so I just want to thank everybody for stopping in, checking out the show. Definitely all felt like we wanted to get our voices out here. And like we said, just because of this clip was one of the reasons that, I enjoy having this pod is because we want to provide a different viewpoint. We want to show that there are some people out here that actually care and that's actually trying to work towards, finding a solution in a world in which we kind of were dealt different types of rules that may be harmful for us. So you know what I'm saying? We have to look to alternative ways for us to find ways to communicate, to be better and to do better. So wanted to let y'all know that and tell y'all can catch us, on Wednesdays, as well as here. Thank you guys and
it's at 8:30. 8:30. Forgot to say that.
Yeah, 8:30. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you catch us. These recordings will be posted on Saturdays. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend. Hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. And look forward to seeing us again soon. Peace.